Hi guys, welcome and who dat? I'm Joe, and today I'm going to be breaking down the upcoming Week 8 matchup in the Caesars Superdome between the visiting Las Vegas Raiders and our host, our beloved, bless you boys, the New Orleans Saints. Vegas has Las Vegas as a 2-point favorite, and both teams are 2-5. All right, this has been a busy week for the Saints. So let's immediately pull up the roster and take a look at what has happened. Here's the offense. As you can see, a major change at quarterback. Andy Dalton is now QB1. Jameis Winston has been healthy enough to practice as a full participant this week. But Dennis Allen has made the announcement that we're going to stick with Andy Dalton. In case you guys don't know, in the first 3 games under Jameis Winston, albeit with a broken back and hurt ankle and foot and everything else that's been bothering him, in the first 3 games, we've averaged 17 points a game. And then in the last 4 games, with Andy Dalton as the starter, we've averaged 31 points a game. So, big difference in the offense. We've managed to creep in the top 10 in the NFL on offense in several categories, including yards per game and points per game. So, I think what this is we're just going to stick with what's working now, and I'm assuming that Jameis will be elevated to QB2. In another move, we have put Keith Kirkwood on the active roster. And Deontay Hardy is currently on IR. So Rashid Shaheed is still on the roster as well. I don't believe Trevor Penning has been elevated from IR yet. So he said he was taking the boot off and he was going to try the ankle out this week. But I believe as of right now, we're still going to keep him on IR. That's the major change here on offense, stocking up on the wide receivers and the big quarterback change. Let's pull up the defense. And here's where the big change happened. We've placed Bradley Roby on IR. That freed up the roster spot to put Kirkwood at wide receiver. So I'm still a little baffled at Chase Hansen being on the roster, especially since when you look there at the cornerback position, we still only have 3 healthy cornerbacks. Technically, Bryce Thompson is our 4th cornerback, and what we've done in the last 2 weeks is we've brought up Chris Harris Jr. from the practice squad, and he's actually played ahead of Bryce Thompson. So for this week, I believe this will be the 3rd time, but I'm sure we're going to do it. We'll elevate Chris Harris to the active roster again. I believe once you do it 3 times, you have to keep them or they get cut. Perhaps PJ Williams is coming back, and at that point we can let Harris go. Or perhaps we keep Harris and we designate somebody else to IR, or we move away from Chase Hansen, or we move away from Kentavious Street. To me, that middle of the defensive line is our biggest problem right now as far as stopping the run. We can generate a pass rush. We do it with the blitz very little, but our defensive ends are playing well right now. It's just that middle of the defensive line. Guys like Shy Tuttle and David Onyemata and Malcolm Roach are going to have to play out of their heads in order for this team to bounce back on defense. Another thing to look at is the safeties. I figured with 2 new safeties, it would take about a month, 4 games, before they really started to put it all together. Well, the problem with that is we're going into week 8. But Marcus May missed, I believe, 3 games due to injury. So I believe at this point now, Tyrann Mathieu and Marcus May have had 4 games together, and I'm kind of hoping we see a big change, turning a corner. The worst the safety play was when Marcus May was out. And Tyrann Mathieu hasn't lived up to expectations. He never was a very strong tackler. He puts himself in decent positions most of the time. The thing is, I'm not sure what to do with these guys. Dennis Allen had a plan. Marcus Williams was probably the best deep center fielder, free safety there was in the league. He could cover a lot of ground. You could play a one high safety, and you can have these other safeties do a bunch of stuff. And I believe Dennis Allen knew. Now, he tried to put Marcus Williams by the line of scrimmage every now and then. He tried to mix it up, but everybody knows what Williams is good at, and you should put your players in a position where they can succeed. So I believe it was easier with Marcus Williams on this team. You put him in the back. Sometimes you have the second safety back there. Sometimes you have him by the line of scrimmage. When it's a guy like C.J. Gardner Johnson, you know he's good at the line of scrimmage. You know he's good covering the slot. So it all worked out pretty good, and the defense was great last year. This year, it seems like Tyrann Mathieu and Marcus May can do both, play deep and play at the line of scrimmage, but neither one of them does either of those fantastic. Okay, Marcus May's pretty good at the line of scrimmage. Tyrann Mathieu, of late, at his older age, with other teams, was playing a lot of deep. Uh, some in New York, when Marcus May was with the Jets, say that he was better at deep safety than at the line of scrimmage. Our tackling's not very good in the secondary right now. Marcus May's not the worst. So perhaps that's something that Dennis Allen's going to have to figure out. He likes the versatility of safeties, but you really need to put your players in a position where they're at their best to perform for this defense to turn a corner. I don't know what you do in the middle of the defensive line right now, other than to hope that these guys step up because they played a lot better last year. And that's your defense. So as far as the outlook of the game goes, Derek Carr is a better than average quarterback. The Saints seem to struggle against really good quarterbacks. They struggle even more against mobile quarterbacks. Derek Carr can get out of the pocket and run, but I think his tendency is to throw from the pocket. Davante Adams is one of the best wide receivers in the league, and we're not going to have Marshawn Lattimore back for this game, so it's going to be a challenge. Without Bradley Roby and without Marcus or Marshawn Lattimore, we're going to have to rely on Paulson Adebo and our rookie second round pick, Alontae Taylor. Taylor is better than Adebo when it comes to closing speed, top speed, and essentially recovery speed. So Alontae Taylor has shown quite a bit early on since he's been back from his injury on the field. He looked pretty good in spot duty in one game, and then last week he basically had to start and play the whole game, and he looked fantastic. Adebo was the stud in preseason and in, training camp. And after his injury and coming back, he's been very hot and cold. The knock on Adebo is he doesn't have great recovery speed. So once he's out of position, he's not going to catch up. Taylor's different. So I'm thinking with the combo of Taylor and Adebo out there, Taylor should probably be the one on Davante Adams, which is crazy. But the rookie had to play against DeAndre Hopkins last week, and he did pretty damn good. I think this is the reason why you drafted Taylor, and I think he's going to have to step up in a big way because Chris Harris Jr. is your next option, and then Bryce Thompson. Going to be tough, but I'm not as concerned with the Raiders' passing offense as I am with their run game. Josh Jacobs, one of the best running backs in the league, and he gets hot and cold, and right now he is super hot. So this is the guy you're going to have to stop. I think the Saints are capable of great run defense and very good pass defense. They're definitely not playing up to their potential. But like I said, I think the safeties are going to put it together this week. And I think if the defensive line steps up, we should see a good performance from the defense. And nothing helps the defense better than a good offense, especially if we're productive early. If we can get ahead and take the Raiders out of the mindset of running the ball, then I think the Saints have a great chance here. I like the way the offense has been operating lately. My biggest problem with our offense is when we get in the red zone, we don't see enough of Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara in the game at the same time. People are saying that when we get in the red zone, it's run, run, pass, and then kick a field goal. But when you run, run with Kamara and no Hill in the game, it's pretty obvious you're going to key on Kamara. So I blame play calling in this instance when we get in the red zone. Jameis Winston at quarterback is an effective red zone presence. You can lean on Jameis in the red zone to throw the ball in the red zone. I don't think you can lean on Andy Dalton for that. He's got a bunch of touchdowns. The Saints have a bunch of passing touchdowns, so and you have to mix it up. I'd like to see us mix it up by putting Taysom Hill and Kamara in the game at the same time when we're in the red zone. Let's try that out a few times and see what happens. Hopefully, our offensive coordinator and our head coach can, as they say, get their head out of their ass, motivate this team, do what they need to do to be more productive, and to get these players to be more productive. We put it all together, and we should have a competitive team. The team's been pretty competitive now, and we've played pretty horrible. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that we turn into a decent team when all of the pieces come together. This week, we won't have Michael Thomas again. We won't have Jarvis Landry. We won't have Marshawn Lattimore. And we won't have starting tight end Adam Troutman. That's okay. Juwan Johnson's getting better as a run blocker. Running game wasn't as good last week and probably won't be as good this week. Unless we call a good game on offense. But Juwan is very good in the passing game. And the secondary is going to have to step up. But, kudos to Andy Dalton for being successful with primarily backups the entire time he's been out there. I think he can make things happen with Traquan and Callaway, but certainly Chris Olave. And, they can't double cover Olave, Hill, and Kamara at the same time. And Dalton's smart enough to know where to go with the ball. So this week, I'm feeling optimistic. My prediction for the game is the Saints 30, the Raiders 20. Now, I think our defense is good enough to hold a team under 20 points. If we don't cause turnovers on defense, I think we can still put up 30 points. If we turn the ball over on offense ourselves, especially leading the points, then the Raiders will smash that 20-point prediction. But our defense is good enough to hold a team to 20 or under, as long as the offense doesn't get in the way. That's my show, guys. That's it. I'm Joe. Subscribe to Rosenfield 10 for more videos like this. And hopefully, in my review of this game after the weekend, we'll be letting the good times roll. Until then, who dat?